Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. I do hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode 77. Today, I had on the podcast Sheena Yap Chan. She is a podcaster. She is a veteran of 800 episodes of her podcast, the Tao of Self Confidence. We talked about many things. She basically, with her podcast, she helps ladies in the Asian community find their voice and find their confidence. So we spoke about many different subject matters and topics, and I've got to say, very inspirational young lady. And yeah, I will look forward to having her on the podcast again. So please sit back, enjoy the show, and yeah, if you have a moment, please subscribe and have an excellent day. Peace. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. This today, it is episode 77, where I have the immense pleasure of, let me clear my throat so I get this all right and correct. I have Sheena Yap Chan on the podcast today. She is, she does a number of things. She is a public speaker, writer, self-confidence coach, and consultant. And she is a podcast host of the Tao of Self Confidence. My God, have I missed anything, or is there anything else she does? Please, Sheena, how are you today?
Hi, Miwa. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. It's a nice day in Canada, sunny. It's summer, so we're trying to get as much good weather as we can before the cold comes.
Before the cold comes, yes. I've seen pictures of, like, how can I say, is it super cold rain in Canada where it just hits things and it just freezes instantly?
Oh, that's hail. Yeah, it's like these big chunks of ice, and it just like it. Yeah, it can get really bad.
Oh God. Ugh. Yeah, you know what? In some respects, with the temperature the way it is in the UK, that might be a welcome relief for some people over here. But right now, it's summertime and I'm loving it. Yeah. May I ask? Yeah. Um, you do quite a lot of things, and like, yeah, you have. Let's just say you've had one or two podcast episodes uploaded. What number are you currently on?
Well, I'm taking a season break right now, so I just finished 800 episodes. In about a month, I'll be starting a new season, but I am going to lessen the number of episodes because I've done so much. And I mean, there's a reason as to why I've done so much. So, like, my podcast is called The Tao of Self Confidence, and that's where I interview Asian women into their journey to self confidence because, first and foremost, as Asian women, we're very underrepresented. And I also wanted to create a support system where Asian women can go and listen to stories of other Asian women who have been through their own challenges and able to overcome them, because we need to see someone kind of like us, that kind of looks like us, has similarities, to realize like what's possible in ourselves. And another reason was also to create a stronger representation of Asian women, because the little representation that we do have there is the wrong kind. So, I mean, society sees us as quiet and submissive, that we just follow instructions, never make any noise. We're usually in the background. And, society also doesn't see us in leadership roles, which is really sad. So, it's 2020 and it's still the same things, right? And we need to, change that narrative and have people see Asian women as strong, powerful beings.
I see. And like with the podcast, how would you say that, like, how would you say the narrative has been addressed now?
Well, I think a lot of people are afraid to show vulnerability, especially as an Asian woman, right? We're told never to talk about our problems. We always avoid them. And, the women who I interview, they always share what they've been through, whether it's abuse, bankruptcy, just self doubts, not being able to make decisions. Sometimes when we're on our journey alone. We just feel like we're the only ones going through what we're going through, but really there's a lot of women out there going through similar things. And when they can hear that, I'm not the only one going through this and she was able to get out of it, then they have that hope, not hope, but they have that knowing that, whatever they're going through right now, they can overcome it, they can get through it because they've seen someone else do it. So it's really important to share these stories because especially now with COVID, we're all stuck at home and our mental health really can mess with us, right? It's when you're stuck at home, like it really messes with us. I mean, I'm guilty, it's happened to me too, right? Like it's just, we need to have an outlet or a support system or something that we can tune in to work on our mindset because it's really important. Like you mentioned, day in and day out, self-confidence is a journey that we work on every single day because we have new challenges, um, new setbacks, new roadblocks. And we have to learn to like just how do we keep getting back up every time we fall? So it's really a big change. I have women who message me telling me how it's helped them either create their own careers or even do something as attending a Toastmasters speaking session, right? Because public speaking is like the most scariest thing to do
Mm.
other than putting yourself on video.
It's like, other than putting yourself on video. Well, and basically, yeah, doing 800 podcast episodes. Wow. I've got to say, I stand in awe of that. And like, this is the thing. And what I got to say, yeah, it's quite commendable that you're actually building up a community, a group where ladies can actually interact, like to sort of get that message out there that, okay, yeah, you can step up, you can step out in the light and you can be something much more. Or like if you have, if you are doing something in a key leadership role, that you're actually visible. Because I would say there are many a person who do, like, this could be in Asian community, Black community, who are in key leadership roles, but they are not seen because they're either the company they work for is not high profile, or it's just a case of, yeah, nothing, like no one really talks about them. How, like, apart from the sort of podcast, like with regards to getting that sort of conversation going, you mentioned Toastmasters, and I would imagine, is there other sort of means you've been doing that as well?
Oh no, it wasn't me. It was actually a person
Oh,
a listener who decided to take the courage to take a Toastmasters class because she was listening to the episodes.
ah,
So yeah, and that because she was able to take the Toastmasters classes, she also got like a badge because I guess they get certain badges if you like, or they have certain contests that they do.
mm,
So it was just for her, like it was a big milestone because she went from like being really scared to like go after it to actually doing it and actually achieving something out of it, like producing a great result. And I think with people, a lot of people have this misconception of confidence is like you have to be overly confident to like do things. Really, you're not. Like you can be scared as hell and just push through it. A lot of us are really scared into doing things, but we have to learn to like, you know, take that fear and just put it into action anyway, right? Or maybe we're nervous, maybe we stutter a lot, like maybe you're in your first video, like you're not as great as a speaker as your 100th video, and that's okay because you know they have that saying, every master was once a disaster. And it's so true. We have to start somewhere. We have to learn to like embrace, being, embrace to be suck to like being um crappy at something, or embrace the suck, right? Because we're going to suck at first when we start something new, especially when it's like doing videos, public speaking. I mean, like, you're going to stutter a little bit, you're going to have your nerves that will get to you, but you just have to keep going and people will see that, right? They'll appreciate it. And it's just all part of the process. Even like the biggest stars in the world still have fear, they still face that nervousness, but instead of stopping them from doing it, they build themselves up to go out there and do it.
mm. Yeah, like this is the thing. Everyone who goes on rabbits on about, oh, they're an overnight success. They don't
No.
actually see the, like, what leaks, like what is below the surface of the amount of times they've actually have failed time and time again, like the amount of times they've been rejected, and then basically they've polished, honed their like craft, their skill, their talent to this sort of point of excellence. And when that's come through, everyone's like, oh, you're amazing. Ah, where did you come from? I've always been here. I've been here for the last 10 years, grafting hard, but you didn't see that, or you weren't there to sort of pay attention. But yeah, but this is the thing, like you've been doing this for the last, is it 4 years with regards to that?
Almost 5 years now.
5 years. But that is an impressive work rate because look, don't get me wrong. Like I thought I was doing well when I was like, yeah, 75. Then I looked at your episode count. I was like 800. And I was like, oh my God, 800. Like that is like, yeah, what has sort of put that sort of work rate into you?
For me, it's just the message that I have, right? Like I have like this mission that is so big that, it needs to be put out there. And it was really hard for me to find a platform to speak my message because like I didn't really know what I wanted, right? Like when I first started podcasting, I didn't even know what a podcast was. When I started looking into it, I was like, this makes a lot of sense because we live in a world where like we're all ADD. Like we watch something, then we see something on YouTube, then someone tweets something, and then you see a perfectly curated photo on Instagram. So we needed I like podcasting because like you can download an episode and listen to it while you're still doing all those things, or when you're busy at work or you're stuck in traffic. Well, maybe now not a lot of people are stuck in traffic, but you're at home working. Maybe you want to go out for a jog and you need something like this little boost to just like this boost of inspiration to get you going through the day. So podcasting was a great platform for me to use. And, I don't have to show my face. Like it's just my voice. And it's still very powerful. People get to know, like, and trust you because of your voice. Right. And I love podcasting because it's the greatest form of self-expression. You get to be who you really are. You get to talk about what you want to do. You get to talk about what you're going through, and people can resonate with that. And I think people sometimes don't realize how powerful podcasting is. I mean, I was reading like an article on Apple Podcasts. There's only like not even a million shows listed, which is crazy. It's 2020, and there's still like under a million podcast shows that are listed, or something like that. It's not a big number.
Yeah, no. Last time I checked the number, it was something like 900,000 podcasts
Yeah, yeah,
out there.
something like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, with that, it's a medium which is, how can I say, it's still kind of underrated because if you kind of look at, say, blogs, there's something like 600 million sort of blogs out there. If you look at YouTube, I think I can't remember exactly, but I think it's up there with around about the same number of blogs, maybe less, maybe more. I can't remember the exact number, but I would agree with you with the medium of podcasts. The one thing which is really good because you can have it short or a long format, like you get the opportunity to have a proper decent conversation. So where you can actually hammer out, well, you can basically bring both sides of a discussion quite clearly, rather than sort of like have this sort of 3-minute segment where it's just chucked out there and you're just like, okay, I've just given you what I want. Like you asked me for 3 minutes. This is what you got for 3 minutes. And it's like, so what do you mean by that? I only had 3 minutes to just say what you wanted me to say. Where with a podcast, you can actually go, right, this is the situation. This is what I believe. And this is how I think we can resolve some of these situations, like this scenario.
yeah, totally. Totally agree with you on that.
So with that, like I've noticed that you don't actually do a video portion of your podcast. It's just purely the audio.
Yeah, they're purely audio.
Was there any particular reason for that?
Yeah, because I don't know how to edit videos. So, I mean, I do have a YouTube channel um, where it has like my podcast cover and the audio.
Hmm,
So, like, it is on YouTube, but it's just not me talking to someone. The video's not me talking to someone else. It's literally just my interview
okay.
with it. Just for me, because the main point of having this podcast is for people to listen to it when they're busy. So
Hmm,
no one's gonna Like no one can watch a video while they're driving, or if they're trying to watch a video while jogging, they're gonna like run into a tree. So at least audio, it's like they can still pay attention while listening to something worthwhile.
Yeah, no, trust me, I have seen some people where it seems like they've been doing that. It's like, you okay? It's okay. I'm just watching the video. It's okay. It's okay. So, with this, was that sort of your gateway into sort of public speaking?
Yeah, and it took me a while because as a woman, especially as an Asian woman, like we still feel like we're not good enough, we're not worthy, and that's because of years of how we're brought up. And it's funny, right? Because I have a podcast about self confidence, and here's me not that confident. But I have to remember I'm also human. I'm not a robot where I'm always confident 100% of the time.
Yeah.
There'll be days where I'm 110% confident, and there are days where I'm like negative 110% confident. It's a wave, right? It's not linear. It's not going to always keep going up. There's days it's going to be down. There's days where you just want to hide from the world. And I had to realize, like, if I really want that change, I have to go out there and do it, right? Like, I have to be that change. I have to be the one who's going to put my face out there, even though it's scary, even though people might criticize me, because like that's all part of the process. And so, like, it's just recently that I started, like, applying for positions, and I don't always get them. Of course, rejection is always part of the process, but it's okay. Um, we got to start somewhere. And I think people don't realize, like, even if you get rejected, just be proud that you went out there, took action, and produced a result. And then that result can help you either course correct, or, you can ask for feedback what you did wrong and correct it along the way so you can get, the next position or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I think people don't really talk about like the ugly portion of like self confidence and putting yourself out there, because it sucks, right? No one wants to hear that, but we need to talk about it so that other people can feel okay and be like, this is part of the process. Failing's part of the process. Getting no's is part of the process.
Mm.
Getting scared is part of the process. Making 100 mistakes is part of the process. And the more we can like share those and be like, it's all okay because it's part of like your journey, then we'll keep doing it. I mean, yeah, of course we're going to be sad about things. There's days where I'm like, I'll have like 4 hours of depression because I got like 100 no's, but then I pick myself back up and go again. But it's okay to feel that way because we have to learn to feel the way we feel and kind of release it to have like new emotions come in.
No, like this is the thing. I do agree. Like with regards to like, I think some people in the world today forget the old saying of get knocked down 7, get up 8 at times. So it's like one of those things. Like you can't like. There's such a pursuit of perfection that you're not allowed to make that mistake. It's just like you've got to be perfect the first time around, and life is not like that. Like if everything was perfect in this world, yeah, we'll be living in a veritable paradise where it's like, yeah, I can throw a dart from here where I'm sitting into like a pub down the street and hit a bullseye all the time. It doesn't work like that. It never works like that. But people just get so caught up with like, I can't make a mistake, I can't screw up. And with like some, I would say sometimes it can be sort of compounded by sort of people looking at social media and go, they're so perfect. They're like, I've got to be like that. But they just don't see the mistakes, or people don't try putting out the mistakes because they don't want to be seen as imperfect themselves.
Yeah, and people don't realize like those photos on like Instagram, they're like filtered, they're edited to a T. They don't like, just because it looks picture perfect on the outside, they don't know what goes behind closed doors. They don't know what they're going through. I'm not saying every person has bad things going bad behind closed doors, but like there are a lot of people who have picture perfect families, and then in the background, like the husband is a serial cheater or he beats on his wife, but nobody talks about that because all they see is that picture perfect family or picture perfect life, not realizing, like, and especially like in Asian communities, right? Like it's prevalent, it's just nobody talks about it. And so we have to realize, just because something looks perfect on the outside doesn't mean it's perfect on the inside, right? And
Yeah.
I know sometimes we need to start showing more imperfections to bring awareness and help others realize like it's okay to be not perfect. It's okay if we don't have that picture perfect life, right? We can work towards a better life. We can learn to work towards a better, us or whatever it is that we want to do. I think, yeah, social media sometimes does have that effect, especially mentally, right? Like we see someone who has the perfect abs and it's like, why can't I get that? But nobody realizes like that's edited, right? I'm not saying all of them are edited, but there are some that are edited.
Oh, it's like, no, 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 no. Just like, not gonna touch that one with a 10-foot barge.
Yeah, not all. Of course, there's some that do work hard for their body, but there are some like, it's not. It looks like they have the perfect figure eight, but really it's airbrushed to a T. And even magazines and billboards are the same. You see pictures of models that are airbrushed to a T, and they don't realize that, like, because we just see what people want us to see.
No, true. Like this is the thing when you say magazines and billboards that they've been doing that since the dawn of time. Airbrushed hair and like Photoshop there. Yeah, like you know what I mean. That what you see on a billboard, what you see in the magazines, never true. Never true. I remember like many moons ago when I was working in the Gap, like my manager, she said her husband did all the touching up for sort of like photos for magazines and stuff like this. And she was like, my God, like I've seen some of these pictures beforehand and I could be a model. I was like, when you kind of like hear that and you're like, this is before you like Photoshop was many moons ago, before Photoshop was literally everywhere. It was just like, I heard her say that. I was like, yeah, sure. Then about 3 years later, when like Photoshop basically became something, just a word in the English language, you were like, going, oh my God, you can do so much with Photoshop. So much. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like this is the thing. Like with that, I think the problem I would say many a community has is they don't actually have the conversations what need to be had. It's as you said, you see the perfect picture, but like the whole thing is like because people are trying to hold on to that perfection, but that they don't have like, and I would say maybe it's a case of it's the 21st century sort of like disease of having to work all like every hour to just like keep your head above water. But it just feels like there's a lot of people who don't have the actual time to really sort of talk out their problems, to sort of like go, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. I'm not feeling confident with regards to what my relationship, how things are going with with family members. Like, yeah, someone help. But you don't really sort of get that. And with what you're doing, like this must be the sort of a common trait, or am I wrong about that with the Asian?
Well, especially like growing up in an Asian like household and having like a lot of Asian relatives, like a lot of us, there's so many things we're not allowed to do. There's so many taboos. There's so many things if we do something, it's shameful. So that's why there's so many. That's why we're so underrepresented. It's like everything we do is like considered shameful. If you promote yourself out there, if you have a business, it's shameful. If you ask for sale, it's shameful. If you talk about a certain topic, it's shameful. Even as something as like periods, which women have, and I'm sorry if I know you're a dude, but like that's still considered a taboo, but it's part of, a woman's anatomy, and, like that's something that needs to be talked about. But there's so many things that are considered taboos that, we just don't talk about it. Even like seeking help for mental health issues is considered shameful. But I don't think it's shameful, because if you need that help, you should go and seek it, right? If you need to talk to a professional, then why not, right? There's nothing wrong with it. If it helps you get better, then why not? But because it's considered shameful, they either hide the problem or they try to avoid it thinking it will go away, but it won't, because this is something that's, lifelong, right? I mean, we all deal with a form of mental health issue, right? I'm saying not everyone has uh like the levels are different between depending on each person, but we've all gone through some type of mental health issue one way or the other. And the one thing was no one was allowed to talk about it because people are afraid of keeping up with the appearances, maybe shaming families, the family name, things like that. And we have to learn to, like, sometimes not think about that and focus on ourselves, focus on getting better, and focus being the person that we want to be. And that means seeking help to whatever issues that we have.
Mhm. So like I'm quite amazed that it's shameful to sort of like so many sort of things, taboos which sort of go run deep in like with regards to the Asian community, promoting the business, like
And
basically,
I'm not saying it's taboo, but
well,
like, you know, they see it as shameful if a woman does versus a man.
okay, so basically
Yeah.
for a lady to do these things, it's therefore it's shameful slash taboo.
Yeah, because there's like a certain, because they see women do certain things, right? Like,
Mm,
you know, women are seen differently. It's like it's impolite to ask for, you know, to promote yourself, or it's impolite to do certain things, like versus a man. It's okay for a man to go out there and promote who they are and promote their business and
yeah.
promote like their product or service. But for women, it's like that's not how a woman's supposed to act. You're supposed to be quiet, stay in the background, never make any noise. What you're doing is not ladylike. But like really, who came up with the term ladylike? Who said what is considered ladylike or not?
So like some poor chap most probably regretting he said that out loud. So like this is the thing, like okay, it is the 21st century now, and like sort of like things, aspects, and lots of things should have been changing, well, over the course of time. Because look, don't get me wrong, like yeah, I'll say it's the 21st century now. Even in the 20th century, like just things were changing then, and like it's going like it's surely it's down. People can see it. It's more got to be more proactive through each community rather than sort of like holding on to sort of this sort of old world aspect. How have you kind of found that? Has it been a sort of uphill slog or what?
Oh yeah, everything's a challenge, right? I mean, but we have to start somewhere. I
Mm,
think one I think with people think that in order to create change, we have to make these big leaps, but really it's, you know, starting small, right? Starting small. Like when I first started my podcast, I didn't start with 800 episodes. I started with like 3. And then I kept adding it along the way until it reached 800 episodes, right? I mean, I didn't start with 800 episodes because, like, who's going to do 800 episodes at once? But, you know, you just got to start with 1, you got to start with 3, and then you gradually build it, right?
mm,
Um, and yeah, sometimes that journey is challenging, right? Especially in the world of podcasting when you're asking people to be interviewed. Not everyone says yes. Sometimes people don't show up. Sometimes you get discouraged. Sometimes you want to give up, but this is why having a clear message is really important, because you know this is not only about you. This is something that's bigger than you. And I think that's where the confidence comes too, because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it to create a positive impact and, you know, create a better world for like our next generation. I want a little Asian girl to, you know, see this podcast and realize, wow, I can be a singer, I can be a businesswoman, I can fly a plane without legs, oh, without arms. Sorry, because I interviewed an armless pilot.
huh? I was like, what? You
Yeah,
lost
that's
me
what
for
I
a second.
meant. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
But like, you know, an Asian woman is not just a quiet and submissive person. We are all different in our own ways, but we are still strong as like together.
Yeah, like a like an armless pilot. That must be fascinating. Like commercial pilot, military pilot. What type of pilot? You
Not sure. I'm sure I don't know really. I know she flies. She has a license for it. Like she's considered the first armless pilot.
no, that's impressive. Wow, there, me.
Yeah.
That, but like this is the thing. Like, yeah, the way I see it, and like just sort of taking a cursory look over how the people you've interviewed, like when I see someone from NASA come up, that like you know what I mean, that is a huge leap, like huge leap right there. I can't remember if she was an engineer or head of something. My apologies. You
That's
look,
okay.
yeah. What was her position?
Oh my gosh. After doing 800 episodes, it's really hard to remember each person's stuff.
No, I totally understand. I totally understand. Because I go,
But I think she was like an astronautpreneur or something. I'm not sure. I could be wrong too. But yeah, she did work for NASA. But like, she didn't get to NASA overnight, right? Like she had to do the work. It
mm,
started maybe researching how to get there, applying to school, getting the education, putting in the work. And sometimes people don't realize like you have to put in the work, right? And I think it's also like glamorizing overnight success, right? We feel like, oh, overnight they just showed up. Really, they didn't. They've been doing this for 10 years in the back and you just never knew about it.
yeah, no, like this is the thing. Yeah, with like this is like with the overnight success bit, I think people like sort of just expect it just to happen there and then. It's like the amount of people that, yeah, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel. Is that okay? How's it going? No one's watching my stuff. I'm gonna quit. How long have you been doing it for? 3 months. Yeah, it's like you can't really say, you can't like, come on, you can't get anything substantially done in 3 months. Like, what about that person? Yeah, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there is an outlier, but
Yeah, for sure.
it doesn't normally happen like that. Like you go, yeah, point to anyone. Like if you pointed to someone huge in podcasting, like Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan's been in the realm of entertainment and interviewing people since the 90s. You know what I mean? And Tim Ferriss has been basically like was podcasting, and he like pretty much like how you did. He was like, okay, and away I go. Like, is it 10, 15 years ago? Yeah, 15 years ago, most probably. And he's like killing it there. But people just don't want to do the work, I think. I might be wrong about that. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to overly generalize it, but there's a large percentage of people that don't want to put in the hard work, don't want to put in the graft. They want the results, but they don't want to do the work. I don't know if you found that yourself.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, I was guilty of that too, right? Like I had to understand that like overnight success isn't really overnight success.
Mm,
It's 10, 20 years of hard work. Like let's pick someone who's recently just got really famous, like Lizzo, right?
yeah.
She's a huge, artist. She got into movies. She had so many concerts before the pandemic. But she shared how she got there. Sometimes she had to sing for beer. She didn't sing for money. Like for like 10 years, it was like she was putting in the work, sometimes not even for money, just to get herself out there. And she was like, she didn't have money in the bank back then. Sorry,
Mm.
there's like a bug in front of my microphone. But like her sharing that is really I appreciate her for sharing that, because a lot of people think she just came out of nowhere. No, she's been putting in the work day in, day out, right? Sometimes not even for money, sometimes just to get a beer, right? Because that's all she could get at that time, right? And so like when you hear stories like that, it's great because it makes us realize like, no, it's not overnight. You
Mm,
have to put in the work. And I'm not saying it's going to take you 10 years. It all depends on how bad you want it, what your situation is, because we're all different, right? We're all made differently. We all have different talents. We all have different, skills that we can put out there. And we just have to really stop comparing ourselves to others, because I think as humans, we're all good at that. And just focus on our own lane. Just focus on our own lane. Like another great example, the guy who created tofurkey, which is like the vegan-based turkey. It's plant-based turkey. It's basically plant-based turkey. But
yeah.
for like,
It's like I won't lie. I wouldn't like when you say vegan bait. I'll be like, that's where part of my brain goes. No, it's just
that's okay.
it's
It's
like
not. I'm not pimping their product. It's more of the storyline, right?
yeah.
I read an article for like the first 10 or 15 years, they only generated like $30,000 in revenue,
Mm,
right? And most people would quit after that. But because like he had a really huge vision, or message, which is like conserving animals, being plant based, like now it's like a multi-million dollar company, right? Like you see it everywhere in grocery stores, and with the trend of like plant-based lifestyle has gone up. So like his sales has gone up too because of that. But if he didn't put in the work 10 or 15 years before, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Mm. No, no, absolutely. And like this is the thing. Like I wish more people could like get the sort of whole story of the whole like the journey, not like just like yeah, just like yeah, no, give me the whole journey so I can see.
Yeah.
No. So it's like yeah, I can see when you've been triumphant, when you've been like when you've been low and the losses have been there. What was the thing? What sort of like okay, everything in the world was telling you to stop. Everything in the world seemed to be going against you. And then what was that thing? What made you claw your way back up and still continue? I would love to see that more. But you know what I mean? Um, you don't get to see it as much as you want to. And you know, when you do
Yeah.
hear that story, you're like, oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people also glamorizes entrepreneurship, right? We see people with the fancy houses
Mm,
and, the fancy cars and the exotic trips. And yes, those are benefits when you start making money, but nobody talks about the grind, right? The grind behind it, how they started, what they went through. Like, entrepreneurship isn't a 9 to 5 job. It's a 24-hour and a day job in the beginning when you have no clue what you're doing. You're going to
mm.
have losses. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to cry, ugly cry. You're going to go through levels of
Uh,
depression when you get your thousand no's. Like,
yeah.
nobody talks about, like, that's like the ugly, like nobody talks about the ugly side of it, because yeah, they all have their pros and cons, and obviously, it's worth the ride because you're working for yourself. But there
Yeah.
are ugly sides to working for yourself, right? Like, yeah, sometimes you don't have the capital. Sometimes, you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to suck at learning how to create a pitch. You're going to suck at promoting yourself because it's something that no one's used to, right? Like, it's hard for some people to like make, like, kind of like bring themselves up, right? Because especially when you're brought up, um, being told never to make any noise, stay in your shell, and just do as you're told. Like, that's a big thing to unlearn, right? Like, to go out there and be like, hey, I have this product and I think this will benefit you. Like, that's hard for people. And, we have to understand, like, maybe I have some things I need to unlearn, right? Because of my upbringing. Like, a lot of our stuff comes from the way we were brought up, the traumatic, like, incidents we have. But we also have to learn to like see things in a different way, good or bad. We have to realize, like, we can always learn something from it.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
No, like this is the thing. You could raise some valid points. One of the things, like you didn't mention it, but when like entrepreneurs, like they like with regards to you hear the upside, but the one thing you don't really like hear a lot of is sometimes the solitude of that because you're in this foxhole, and if you're doing the solo entrepreneur thing, you don't have like that sort of band of brothers and sisters around you to sort of like, okay, we're gonna go out of this trench and we're gonna take that ridge. You don't have that. It's a case of sometimes it'll be a case of like, okay, I'm here, and it like the bullets are flying, the bombs are coming, and who do I turn to for that support or help? It sometimes that solitude can weigh deep on people at times.
Yeah. I mean, we all go through it, right? Sometimes we just feel like we're all alone.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Like this is the thing. One like you've done 800 podcasts, right? And they're like people go, "Oh, you've done 800 podcasts. Like you must be making bank right now." What is the reality of your sort of situation after 800 podcasts?
Really, to be honest, I've been like I've been, finding ways to monetize it, but
Mm,
like for me, really, it was just more of a passion project. And, part of me delayed it because, like I said, I never thought I was good enough, right? I thought, no one's going to listen to me. Who am I to like have people come and listen to me about what I'm talking about or even buy stuff from me.
Mm.
And so I had to really get out of that thinking, right? Even though I had all these like amazing women I interviewed and I've done 800 podcasts, I still thought I was never good enough. And a lot of people feel like that
Yeah.
because the way we were brought up, and like as Asians, we're really good at comparing ourselves to people, right? Because like we just always feel like we're not worthy to go out there and go after the things that we want. So that's something I realized, like I'm the only one that's holding myself back, and I have to go out there and do it. Even if I make mistakes, even if I fail, I have to be the one because there's no one else doing it at the moment. And all it takes is just one person to go out there and do it. So yeah, at first, like I never did anything because I was too scared.
Look, wow. Like, this is the thing. All I've got to simply say is, yeah, you are worthy, because look, 800 human beings have like come along, 800 ladies like have come along and been like, went, yes, I'll be happy to be interviewed by you. Like armless, like pilots to like, yeah, NASA engineers, no doubt. And then, yeah, and a gaggle of a number of Asian like ladies who are entrepreneurs, like trying to make their way in this world. But like, yeah, so look, come on, you are worthy. And look, there are people out there who have done maybe 10 podcasts, like simply saying, yeah, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. You've done 10 podcasts, buddy. Back up. But yeah, come on. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, kind of went away.
no worries, no worries. But do you understand where I'm coming from when I say that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's something I was dealing with, right? Especially
Mm.
as a woman. It's really, I think as women, we're really we're really hard on ourselves, right? We always think the worst of ourselves. Not the worst, maybe like, yeah, maybe the worst. Maybe, yeah. Like we're just not very kind to ourselves. Like I know I am my own worst enemy. Like I'll maybe have an outfit on, be like, oh my God, you look terrible in the outfit. Like, go change. You look terrible. Or, our mind really plays tricks on us, right? And we have to learn to be just our own best friend, because you wouldn't treat your best friend like that, right? And
Mm,
if you want, positive changes in your life, it really has to start with yourselves. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who really don't see the worth in themselves. And I think it's time to realize they are worthy, right? That's why when I have moments of self doubt, or when I'm feeling low or
mm,
sad, or, just like really depressed, this helps me get through the day. Because sometimes it just takes getting through the day to help you like build that confidence.
mm. Oh, liking that, liking that. Like, yeah, building that self-confidence, getting you through the day. Like, yeah. So answer me this. Like, when you started doing podcasting, like, what was the sort of thing where you were like, what was the sort of moment where you were like, yeah, I'm in love with this. I want to like do this forever. Do you remember that sort of
Um, I
moment?
think it was going. I think it was going to a podcast event 4 years back. The one of the keynote speakers was Kevin Smith. He's a pretty popular actor in the U.S. And he was talking about podcasting and how that's why I said it's the best form of self-expression, because it actually came from him. And he was talking about, he wasn't even talking about the money part. He was just talking about his love for podcasting and how it really can create positive changes in the world. Because one of his best friends, who would act with him in these movies called, I think, Jay and Silent Bob, so his
Kevin
his
Smith?
friend, yeah. So his friend actually created a podcast where he talked about his addictions to drugs
Mm,
and how what he went through, his feelings, and he was actually really scared to talk about it because people might judge him, but really people appreciated him for sharing those things, because there's a lot of people out there who are going through similar situations and they want to learn how to get out of it, how to get out of that rabbit hole, right? And especially when it comes to drug addiction, it's not easy. but just hearing someone talking about it, whether they relapse or whether they feel like they're not good enough or where they feel like their life is over, people want to know they're not the only ones going through that, and that there is hope and there is, light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's the moment where I realized I understand why this platform is so powerful. And when I first started podcasting, it was really hard to find other Asian podcasters. There was probably like 5 that I could think of at that time. So, but now obviously it's gone, like there's more and more, which is great. But I think I want people, like, I'm just sharing this because I guess some people, when they see no one else is doing it, they think there's no market for it. But that actually gives you the chance to open up something new.
Yeah, I like that. There was only 5 of us.
Well, it was really hard to find them.
I was when you found it, was like, you're a podcaster too. Yes, you grab it.
Yeah, it's like, you're Asian and you podcast. Love
like,
it.
Oh yeah, you're my unicorn. You're my unicorn. So it's like, yeah, no, like this is the thing. Going to that, going to a podcast. Well, one of the things we don't really sort of do here in the UK that much is sort of like conferences and seminars where you go along and talk about sort of podcasts and stuff like this. I think VidCon is the sort of like the thing which comes over here. And then when it's sort of like more sort of entrepreneur things, but when it's it's sort of like, this is podcasting, this is what it's focused on. I don't think there is that many. I might be completely wrong, but I've never really seen that done over here. But to sort of go along to that, to get inspired by like the great Kevin Smith, look, director of Mallrats, yes.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob, yeah. Dogma, look, come on. It's like all good, all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah. So with this, like, you've been podcasting, done the public speaking, and with regards to your writing, is it writing books? Is it writing a blog? What is that about?
Yeah, I like, writing is very broad, right? Yeah, it's like writing books, writing blog posts, writing for other people,
Yeah.
getting paid to write. There the possibilities are endless, right? And it's just going out there and just putting yourself out there and learning to just learning to let go of the outcome, because I think that's another reason why people stress out, right? Because we're so afraid of getting no's. We're so afraid if we get rejected. We're so afraid if the result that we want is not the result that we want. We have to be okay with it. We have to be like, you know what, just put yourself out there, and whatever happens, happens. At least you went for it. At least you do have an answer versus asking yourself, what if, right? I mean, like, when I decided to, like, just test myself, like, I'm going to see if I can get paid to write. And like, it's not like it was like $1 million. It was like less than $100. But the fact that I got paid to write about something is just proof that I can go out there and do it, right? So it's like, I decided to email like 20 writing publications or whatever it is, right? I probably got like 2 answers and then 1 yes. So you have to be okay with that, because that happens.
It's the long road of rejection. Yes, I've, how can I say, I am a traveler along that road as well. So yeah.
But you got to learn to embrace it, or else you're never going to do anything.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. No. So with this, like, you're about to go on a month break. What has been the sort of strategy? Well, like, before I go there, like, over the sort of COVID lockdown world, what has been your sort of strategy, sort of keeping you sane, keeping you going?
To keep me going?
Yeah,
Well, the first half of the lockdown, or the beginning stages of the lockdown, I really did have a negative, like, outlook on life, because it's like everything was locked down.
yeah.
you know Lots of people were losing jobs, and for me it was like, okay, well, it's the end of the world, whatever. I'm just gonna, like, binge watch on Netflix and eat junk. And like, I was just on this period where I was just watching nothing but Korean dramas. And, at some point I had to like look in the mirror and be like, okay, like, fit wise, like health wise, you're not in shape because you've been munching on junk food for like the past 3 months. You can't be doing this thing for the next 6 months. Like, sometimes there's just like that boiling point where you realize like enough is enough and you have to like just go out there and do it regardless. um and that happens at any moment, right? Like, you just don't know, right? And every person's different. But yeah, other than that, I decided to take things like slowly, start with fitness, start with my mindset little by little, right? um just channeling out some of the things that I was dealing with, and just learning to just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, because that's all we have, right? And we just have to learn to take things slowly, which is okay. Don't
Mm,
have to like make big, fast changes. Things can, you know, you you can just take it slowly, right? Because it's these like small daily actionable steps that really yield the overnight success or the great results.
mm,
So that's why it's really important to just take it slow and be okay with it, right? Now is a great time to maybe start something new, right? Now is a time to maybe elevate your message, right? What are you going to do to elevate that message? So for me, it was like, in order for me to be seen, or for Asian women to be seen, I have to get out there and show my faces, whether it's to get on more podcasts, get on more media. I'll
mm,
do whatever it takes, right? Like whatever happens, happens, right? Of course, I'm not always going to get a yes. I'm going to get rejected. I'll get ghosted. No one will know who I am, but I'll do whatever I can to put myself out there so that there is some form of representation and more women can feel better about themselves and feel at ease to show their faces out into the world, because it's really needed. Like, for me, representation is huge. So not everyone's going to understand it, because there's going to be some people who are going to be like, well, why can't you relate to a white woman? I'm like, because I'm not white. I'm Chinese, if you notice, and what they go through is not something I go through, right?
mm.
That's why, like, you need to have someone that kind of looks like you, have same similarities you in culture, the culture and family values, so that you can understand that, like, yeah, like, you can understand what they're going through and find a solution to how you can help them build themselves up to live the life that they want. So yeah. Hope that answers your question.
It gives me an idea. It gives me an idea. So, do you have a set strategy for 2021? The
No,
reset.
I don't. I'm taking it one day at a time.
It's like, it's like 2021. It's like, oh no, It's like, I'm trying to still get over 2020. You're talking about 2021.
I thought we were restarting 2020. I'm just kidding.
It's like, well, yeah. At this moment in time, I think I'm gonna just stick with 2019. Like, just time loop. I don't want to know. It's like going, yeah, between like, yeah, pandemic, murder hornets, and yeah, civil unrest, and yeah, whatever else is coming. Like, the government's confirmed there's aliens out there, so yeah, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe a Mayan like sort of like ritual saying, yeah, the world's going to end at this point. I don't know, but nevertheless, okay. If like tapping into my cosmic power, if there was one thing, one sort of wish I could fulfill for you at this present time over the next, say, 6 months, what would that be?
Hmm. I guess, so just supporting the women who desire that representation, because it's really needed, you know,
Mm,
maybe highlighting more amazing Asian women out there who have done amazing things, because, we just, at this point, we just need to be seen. We need that visibility. And, media is a great way to be visible, because no one's going to know if they don't see you on media, or if they don't see you on a podcast, or on a magazine, or on TV, or whatever mediums we have. Like, we have to utilize it. And, it has to start with us, right? We have to say yes to ourselves, to go out there and be seen, to go out there and do the things that we want to do. But yeah, I guess showing more support,
mm,
basically it.
yeah. Mm. Would you ever consider doing, say, a like an Asian lady version of The View on, say, YouTube? Get like a bunch of girls together and just like do that.
Yeah, I would be open to doing that. but it's not in my cards yet.
I'm
Not
not
because I'm not ready. It's just like I haven't really even thought of that, to be honest.
like, this is the thing. Like, the reason why I say this, it'll be a case of, like, getting a group of, well, not so much like-minded ladies, but again, like, so you've got a good panel where you can express their opinion, be visible, and being able to like build a community around that where they can be like, okay, yeah, we've been talking about this. It just gives more people an opportunity to talk, and yeah, just do it maybe across the generations. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? This will be all stuff for you to work out. And like, you know what I mean? Just get the conversation flowing a little bit more. Because look, I love what you're doing with the podcast. And like, you know what I mean? You're out there slaying it. Have like 800 people and rising, slaying it. I'm just like, just giving you a sort of like another avenue to just get people's attention to basically engage and have these conversations. So like you can basically help enrich many a person's life. You never know, might give them the opportunity to go, yeah, you know what, I was going to do this, but this is the way I see my life going now. Find new avenues, help them to pivot and new opportunities. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just think.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Thanks for sharing that.
Hey, like, I'm here all week. I'm just giving out ideas when I can. But yeah, like, so you mentioned like watching lots of Korean dramas. What would be a good drama for me to watch, say, as hopefully over the next few weeks?
Sorry.
You mentioned Korean dramas. You like been watching a lot of TV with Korean.
Oh yeah. That was my moments of like my low moments of the
Yeah.
lockdown.
Yes.
But yeah, Netflix has. I love them. Like they have great stories, connecting odd shows. Um, I mean, some shows. I mean, I like the love story. I don't know. I mean, the one show that I really loved and that really got me hooked on it was uh,
Oh, you're breaking up on me.
made me realize like, oh my god, these things are addictive. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
So the one show I would recommend.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah.
The one show that I would recommend watching, especially if you're a first timer, would be Crash Landing on You. And if you have a Netflix account, it's on Netflix.
Okay. Crash Landing on You. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Can you tell the lovely people out there how they can get hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm like the easiest person to find on the internet. If you type my name, Sheena Yap Chan, I'm like the only Sheena Yap Chan on Google, so that's a good thing. You can check out my podcast, The Tao of Self Confidence, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And you can also check out my website, thetaoofselfconfidence.com. I have past episodes, tools, and resources to help you with, building confidence, or even if you want to know how to start podcasting, things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Outstanding. Okay, what I'll do, I'll put all of that information in the show notes, in the description. And yeah, we're going to get more people to find out who you are. And yeah, make it happen. Excellent. I'd like to say, Sheena, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on today. You have been outstanding. Great fun. Liking it. And yeah, I hopefully will be working with you again in the future. And I'd like to say thank you to my friends, my life warriors out there. I'd like to say stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be all the positive bees you can be in this world, and then some. Have a great day. Peace.
Bye.
And we are